Have you ever given everything you have to someone, only to realize they were taking you for granted? Or maybe you've been in a situation where all the love, effort, and kindness you put into a relationship seemed to go unnoticed, leaving you feeling used or unappreciated. If you've ever wondered if the person you're with truly sees and values you for who you are, and not just for what you can provide, then this video is for you. In today's video, we'll be diving deep into the emotional journeys of 3 women who, at different stages of their lives, found themselves facing the painful reality that sometimes love and kindness can be taken for granted. Each of these women will share their personal stories, offering insights into their emotional struggles and the moments when they realized their relationships were far from what they had imagined. These powerful stories will help you recognize the warning signs that you're being treated more like a caretaker or an emotional support system, rather than a true partner in the relationship. And just as importantly, we'll discuss how to identify when it's time to stand up for yourself and take back your sense of worth. Throughout this video, we'll explore the challenges these women faced, how they navigated their emotional turmoil, and what they learned about themselves in the process. You'll hear real-life examples of the subtle, yet significant red flags that we often overlook in the hopes that things will get better. And we'll talk about how to recognize when it's time to walk away, not out of anger or frustration, but to protect your happiness, peace of mind, and emotional well-being. By the end of this video, you'll know how to spot the difference between genuine love and manipulation, and you'll feel empowered to make the decisions that are right for your life. So, make sure you stay with us until the end, because the insights shared in these stories could very well change the way you view your relationships, helping you reclaim your peace and happiness. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, now is the time to do so. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our future videos. Your support means the world to me, and if you find value in this content, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Your feedback helps me continue to create meaningful content for you. And speaking of feedback, if you enjoy the topic of today's video, feel free to comment with a 1. If there's something you'd like to see more of, or if you think there's room for improvement, simply comment 0. Your thoughts are incredibly important, and I appreciate you taking the time to engage. Now, let's get started with these powerful stories. Grace had always lived a calm and steady life, one that many might envy for its simplicity and peace. She woke up each morning to the soft sunlight streaming through her window, took a quiet moment to sip her coffee, and let the silence of the morning settle her thoughts. Her days consisted of pleasant conversations with friends, engaging in hobbies she loved, and enjoying the peaceful rhythm of her daily routine. There was nothing particularly dissatisfying about her life, or at least, that's what she thought. Then one day, things took an unexpected turn. Through a mutual friend, Grace met Tom. At first, their interactions were casual, light, and easy, much like the beginning of any new acquaintance. But Tom was different. He was kind, with an old-fashioned charm that caught her attention. He had a way of listening to her that made her feel like she was the only person in the room. He noticed the smallest details, things that others would have overlooked. "That outfit looks great on you today," he would say. Or, "That hairstyle suits you." His compliments made her feel seen, valued, like someone truly appreciated her presence in the world. Gradually, Grace began to think about the possibility of living with someone again. The idea felt comfortable with him, almost effortless. They started sharing more meals, and with each passing day, the emotional distance between them grew smaller. One evening, when she handed him a jar of her homemade pickles, he looked at her with a smile that seemed to light up the room. "It's been so long since I've had something this delicious," he said with a warmth in his voice that made her heart flutter. She found herself looking forward to the next meal, the next small act of kindness she could offer. Soon after, Tom asked the question that would change everything. "Why don't we live together?" he suggested, with a gentle smile. Grace was taken aback at first. She had grown used to her independence, to the peace of her own space, but when he added, "Being with you makes the house feel so much brighter," something inside her shifted. His words felt like a promise, an invitation into a new chapter of her life. She felt her heart swell with hope. In that moment, Grace believed she was truly wanted, that her presence meant something to him. And so, they began their new life together. The shift. At first, everything felt perfect. They shared quiet mornings, preparing breakfast together. He'd smile at her and say, "A day that starts with your breakfast is the best," and she would smile back, feeling a warmth in her chest. Those were the days she dreamed of, the days that felt genuinely happy. But as time passed, small feelings of unease began to settle in, almost imperceptibly at first. What had once been a light-hearted, "What's for dinner tonight?" slowly morphed into an impatient, "Isn't dinner ready yet?" The tone in his voice was different now, as if his expectations had grown. She noticed it even more when it came to household chores. What had started as simple requests, like, "Can you wash my shirt?" gradually escalated. Soon, she found herself doing all the housework, with little to no help from him. Then, one evening, when Grace came down with a high fever and could barely get out of bed, she saw Tom peek into the room. But instead of asking if she was okay or offering comfort, the first thing he said was, "What about dinner tonight?" His words hit her like a ton of bricks. There she was, lying in bed, struggling with a fever, and all he cared about was his meal. In that moment, it all became clear to her. She wasn't his partner. She wasn't someone he cherished and valued. She was someone he relied on for convenience. The breaking point. In that instant, all the little discomfort she had ignored came together as a powerful realization. Maybe, just maybe, she wasn't seen as a partner in this relationship, but rather as a caretaker. All those compliments and kind words from the beginning. Were they just a way to gauge whether she would take on the role of a housekeeper? She hadn't signed up for this. She hadn't moved in with him to serve him, to become his unpaid assistant. She wanted a relationship where both partners shared responsibilities, supported each other, and built something meaningful together. The final straw came one day, when Tom, in a joking tone, said, "If I'd known you'd take care of the house this well, we should have lived together sooner." That moment hit her like a slap in the face. It was so clear now. He saw her as a caretaker, not a partner. And in that instant, Grace knew what she had to do. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. She decided to leave. Packing her things, she took one last look at him, his face as oblivious as ever. "Breakfast tomorrow, please," he said, as if nothing had changed. His words were the final nail in the coffin of their relationship. Grace's resolve quietly solidified. She wasn't here to live for someone else's convenience. From that moment on, she was going to value herself and live for her own sake. With a deep breath, Grace closed the door behind her. The sound of it closing was like the end of an era. She stood there for a moment, alone again in her own space. But as the light streamed into the room, she realized something that would change her life forever. Happiness isn't something someone gives you. It's something you choose for yourself. And so, she vowed to never lose sight of her worth again. From that day on, she would live for herself, never compromising who she was for the sake of anyone else's expectations. With that, she stepped forward into the life she was always meant to live. The next morning, Grace found herself alone once again, the stillness of her apartment both familiar and strangely comforting. As she sat by the window, the soft light streamed into the room, filling the space with warmth. For the first time in a long while, she felt a deep sense of peace. She thought to herself, happiness isn't something someone gives you. It's something you choose for yourself. In that moment, she made a vow to never again lose sight of her worth. From now on, she would walk forward, embracing her life and cherishing herself above all else. No more compromising for the sake of anyone else. She was enough, just as she was. The story of Clare Miller. Now, let's turn our attention to Clare Miller, a 67-year-old woman who had spent most of her life quietly focused on the world around her. After her divorce, Clare found herself living alone. Her only son, now an adult, had his own life and family, leaving her with a comfortable, albeit lonely, existence. For many years, Clare was content with her solitude. She had built a life that was peaceful, filled with hobbies and moments of reflection. Yet, in the quiet of her days, there were moments when a deep, unshakable loneliness would creep up on her. She'd never imagined she would long for companionship again. After so many years of independence, the thought of opening her heart to someone else seemed like an impossible task. But as the years passed, something shifted. The realization slowly dawned on Clare that, despite her peaceful life, she craved the warmth and connection of someone to share her time with. One day, while attending a hobby circle, she met a man named Jack. Jack was different from anyone she had met before. His calm voice and warm smile immediately left an impression on her. As they began talking, Clare was surprised by how much he listened to her, how much he seemed to truly care about what she had to say. The ease of their conversations was something she hadn't experienced in years, and she found herself thinking, could this be happening? With a sense of wonder, Clare realized that maybe, just maybe, she was ready to start a new chapter in her life. Clare had been studying calligraphy for years, and Jack, on the other hand, had been pursuing photography. They had an unexpected bond, a shared passion for art, which led them to spend more time together. During a break in the circle, they happened to sit next to each other. Their casual chat turned into long, heartfelt conversations, and before she knew it, they were meeting for tea afterward, sharing stories and laughter. In a group that had very few men, Jack quickly stood out to her. Every time they met, he would greet her with the same warm compliment, "You've got a lovely smile again today." His words, simple yet sincere, became a comfort to Clare, a reminder that she was not invisible, that she was appreciated. Slowly, they started dating, and Jack continued to reassure her with words like, "You're so special to me." At first, Clare's heart swelled with joy at the thought of someone seeing her in such a loving light. But as their relationship progressed, something began to shift. One day, during a quiet moment, Jack said, "You remind me so much of my late wife, Emily." At first, Clare didn't think much of it. It was only natural that he would think of his late wife from time to time. After all, she had been a significant part of his life. But slowly, over time, the mention of Emily seemed to grow more frequent. "Emily used to love this," Jack would say, or "Emily would have liked this." At first, Clare brushed it off, thinking it was just nostalgia. But as his eyes grew distant when talking about her, Clare realized that Jack wasn't seeing her for who she was. In his mind, Clare was becoming a mere reflection of Emily, a way for him to relive the past. One afternoon, Clare arrived to meet Jack with a new hairstyle. The first words out of his mouth were, "That style, it reminds me of Emily when she was younger." Clare's heart sank. Later, as they shopped for clothes together, Jack picked up a shirt and remarked, "Emily used to wear this color a lot." With every comment, Clare felt herself slipping further into the shadows of the woman Jack had loved before. It felt like she was no longer a unique individual in his eyes, but rather a vessel for his memories of Emily. Every word he spoke seemed to draw more comparisons between her and his late wife, and Clare began to feel suffocated by the weight of it all. It was as if, despite being in a relationship with Clare, Jack was living in the past, forever haunted by the ghost of Emily. No matter how hard Clare tried to be herself, Jack's constant references to his wife made her feel like she could never measure up. When Clare cooked at Jack's apartment, she did her best to prepare a meal that they both could enjoy. But every time, his comments made her feel invisible. "It's delicious, but my wife used to make it a bit lighter," he would say with a hint of nostalgia in his voice. At first, she tried to brush it off. Of course, it was natural that he would compare her to his late wife. He had loved her deeply, after all. But over time, it became clear that Clare wasn't being seen for who she was, but rather as a stand-in for Emily, his memory of her lingering in everything she did. At first, Clare understood. He couldn't forget his wife, and perhaps he wasn't trying to hurt her. But as time passed, she realized that she didn't want to be a shadow of someone else's past. She wanted to be seen for who she was, for her uniqueness, not merely as a comparison to a woman she could never replace. The more Jack's references to Emily grew, the more suffocating it became. Every time they spoke, Clare felt as if she was competing with a memory that could never be surpassed. One evening, after they had spent a peaceful day together, Jack fell asleep on the sofa. Clare, feeling the quiet weight of everything that had been left unsaid, went to cover him with a blanket. As she gently draped it over him, he murmured, "Emily, you're here," his voice tender, as if she were standing right beside him. Clare froze in place. Her chest tightened with a mix of hurt and realization. Jack's heart was still bound to the past, and no matter how hard she tried, she would never fully reach him. The next day, after much internal struggle, Clare gathered the courage to confront him. "I want you to see me," she told him, her voice calm but firm. Jack was shocked, and immediately apologized, saying he never meant to hurt her. But despite his words, nothing changed. Every compliment, every kind gesture, felt hollow when compared to Emily. No matter what Clare did, no matter how she changed, it always felt like she was being measured against a ghost. The weight of his past became too much for her to bear. One day, after a particularly painful conversation where Jack again spoke about his late wife, Clare knew what she had to do. "I want to be loved as myself, not as a shadow of someone else," she said, her voice resolute. She realized that she could no longer live her life trying to fill someone else's place. Jack pleaded with her, telling her, "It has to be you," but his words felt empty. It wasn't that he wanted her for who she was. It was because he didn't want to lose the comfort of someone who could fill the void left by Emily. As Clare left, a sense of clarity washed over her. She realized that she didn't want to be anyone's replacement. She didn't want to live in the shadow of someone else's memory. And that wasn't selfish, it was a matter of self-respect. She had learned an important lesson. When someone is too bound by their past, it's impossible to build a future together. Everyone has memories, but when those memories become more important than the present, a new relationship can never truly begin. Clare made a vow to herself that from now on, she would walk forward as herself, strong, independent, and free from anyone's expectations. Happiness wasn't in the past, it was in the future she would create on her terms. The story of Patricia Jenkins. Finally, let's turn to Patricia Jenkins, a 70-year-old woman who, after losing her husband and moving out of her daughter's home, found herself living alone. After so many years of being part of a family, she didn't expect to feel the sense of solitude that settled in. At first, Patricia had convinced herself that love was no longer in the cards for her. She was content with her quiet life, spending her days reading, gardening, and enjoying her newfound independence. But as the months passed, she found herself yearning for companionship, longing for someone with whom she could share her life. One evening, while attending a karaoke club with friends, she met a man named Henry. His charm was immediate. His natural conversation and easy smile reminded her of the joy of connection. They spoke like old friends, as though they had known each other for years. Patricia couldn't believe how quickly they hit it off. Before she knew it, spending time with Henry became the highlight of her days. He made her laugh in a way that she hadn't in a long time. What started as a casual friendship soon blossomed into something more. Henry had a beautiful singing voice, one that seemed to carry the weight of a life lived, full of experiences and emotion. When he sang old Showa-era classics, Patricia could feel the depth of his expressions. Sometimes, he would ask her, "What's your favorite song, Patricia?" and would sing it for her at the next meeting. His thoughtfulness touched her deeply, and she began to feel a special connection to him. Henry truly listened to her. He valued her opinions, telling her, "That's an amazing way of thinking, and your words carry such conviction." For someone who had spent so many years alone, it was incredibly reassuring to have someone truly hear her. Even after they began dating, Henry's kindness continued. When Patricia caught a cold, he brought over medicine and energy drinks to help her feel better. For her birthday, he gave her a handmade card that said, "Just having you here makes every day brighter." Patricia believed him. She was convinced that he truly saw her, and for the first time in years, she felt loved and appreciated. But after about 6 months, something changed. One day, Henry seemed unusually distant. He asked her to meet at a cafe, his expression darker than usual. "I need to talk to you about something," he said, his voice heavy. As they sat down, he explained that he was struggling financially, living on his pension alone. "I'll pay you back next month, I promise," he assured her, asking if she could lend him some money. At first, Patricia hesitated, but seeing his earnest face, she couldn't bring herself to say no. She thought that helping him might deepen their bond, that it was a mutual exchange. It started with a small loan, just $500. But soon, the amounts grew. Patricia found herself lending him more and more. $1, $000, $2,000. Until, within a few months, she had given him over $5,000. And none of it was repaid. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Patricia hesitated, torn between her instincts and the kindness Henry had shown her in the past. Seeing the earnestness in his eyes, she couldn't bring herself to refuse. She wanted to believe his promise, to trust him, and perhaps, just perhaps, helping him would deepen the bond they had started to build. It felt like a mutual connection, a partnership of sorts. What started as a small loan of $500 quickly escalated. With each new request, Patricia found herself giving more. The amounts grew, but so did Henry's apologies, his words full of remorse. "I'm so sorry," he would say, his head bowed in guilt. With every apology, it became harder to say no. She thought that maybe this was just a temporary struggle, that once he got back on his feet, everything would be all right. But one day, when Patricia checked her bank balance, the truth hit her like a wave. She had lent Henry over $6,000. None of it had been paid back. The realization was crushing. All her hard-earned savings, now scattered to someone who promised to repay her but never did. She felt a knot of anxiety tightening in her chest. She couldn't ignore it any longer. She knew she had to confront him. The next time they met at a cafe, Patricia gathered her courage and explained that she could no longer continue lending him money. She told him that she couldn't keep going down this path, that it was no longer sustainable for her. Henry fell silent for a moment, and for the first time, Patricia saw his face change. The gentle smile she had grown accustomed to faded away, replaced by a cold glare. "You've got plenty to spare, don't you?" "I'm struggling," he pressed, his voice tinged with irritation. Patricia was taken aback. She had expected some understanding, but instead, his words felt accusatory, as though she owed him something. And then, the words that truly stunned her came, "I didn't think you were this heartless." The accusation hit her harder than anything he had said before. Patricia's heart sank. Was all of his kindness, those sweet words, those thoughtful gestures, just a means to get money from her? Was she nothing more than a source of support, a convenient bank account for his struggles? Patricia didn't want to believe it, but when a friend later pointed out that this was a classic case of someone taking advantage of her, the truth became undeniable. She had been so blinded by his charm and the image he had built of himself, that she hadn't seen the manipulative behavior that was lurking beneath. The kindness he had shown her now felt like a mask, hiding his true intentions. Her once precious memories of their time together, his sweet compliments, his thoughtful gestures, were now clouded with suspicion. With a heavy heart, Patricia decided to end the relationship. She recovered only a fraction of the money she had lent him, the rest simply lost. But the true pain wasn't the money. It was the realization that someone she had trusted had used her. His words, his promises to cherish her, now rang hollow. She had believed in him, and in return, she had been taken advantage of. Through this painful experience, Patricia learned something vital. A person's true character doesn't show in times of ease or comfort. It shows in times of hardship. It's in the tough moments, when expectations are high, and when there's nothing left to give, that you truly see who someone is. She realized the importance of not judging someone based on first impressions or smooth words, but on the way they behave over time, especially when things aren't going well. Patricia had always believed in the goodness of people, but this experience taught her that she needed to be more discerning. Going forward, she promised herself she would protect her heart, be more mindful of the people she let into her life, and trust her instincts. Her happiness would no longer depend on others. It would come from within, from knowing that she had the strength to stand up for herself and make the right decisions. She would never again let someone's facade blind her to their true nature. As we've heard today, each of these women, Grace, Claire, and Patricia, faced tough emotional challenges in their relationships. They all learned the importance of recognizing when love is genuine and when it becomes something else, like manipulation or convenience. They each walked away with a new understanding of their worth and the strength to make decisions that prioritize their happiness and peace. Now, I want to hear from you. What have you learned from these stories? Is there one lesson that resonates with you the most, something you're going to bring into your own life? Comment below and share your thoughts with us. Let's continue this conversation and support each other in our personal growth. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support means so much, and we'd love to continue providing more valuable content for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.